Okay, amazing. And we are live. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for those coming in for the first time. We'll give it a couple of minutes for folks to start trickling in, and then, Ali, we can maybe do a couple of intros and then go from there.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for joining, everyone, and thanks for having me, Pietra.
Of course.
Yeah,
Ali, do you hear a bit of an echo by any chance? Maybe we can just fix that up.
no echo for me.
Okay, all good. I'll give it 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we can get started.
No problem. Prince, where are you located again?
I'm in New York.
Yeah, New
Yeah,
York.
I'm in New York at our HQ, and you are one more time.
I just moved from the Bay Area to
Okay.
Santa Barbara. So that Central Coast, I can get to the Bay Area and I can get
So nice.
to LA easily for
Yeah,
my business. So it's a
yeah,
really nice in-between place and a great place for the kids.
cool, very cool,
Yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
awesome. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So awesome, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar. My name is Prince. I'm on the team here at Pietra. For those who've joined us in any of our previous webinars on tariffs, on some of our AI webinars, you may have seen me before. So thanks for joining in again. And I'm really excited today to be joined actually by a special guest, Weiss, who's the founder and CEO of GripBaby, longtime Pietra customer, and now friend of the show, friend of the pod. Ali, thanks for joining.
Yeah, it's so nice to be here. I really have loved getting to know you and the team at Pietra, and have seeing how the product's really grown and innovated along with AI is super exciting. So I hope to answer some questions and kind of get into the nitty-gritty of how I run my business.
Amazing. And maybe where we can start is this. Ali, want to just give the audience a little bit of background on
Yeah.
GripBaby? What is the product? What's the brand? Tell us the history of it.
Yeah. I think also before we get into GripBaby, it's important to note my background as well, just as we're talking about AI. I have about 20 years experience working in marketing at tech companies. I was at Pinterest for Google for the last 6 years. I was there. I was there when we launched Gemini. And part of my role at Google was really exploring different creative tools that help creatives be better creatives and stop doing kind of like the boring admin stuff. So naturally, as I left Google to launch GripBaby, and what people want to know about GripBaby is it's the first of its kind infant crawling support onesie. So as my baby was learning to crawl, he was slipping all over hardwood floors. And I went to go buy something that had grip along the legs. In my mind, it had already existed. And I went searching on Google, on Amazon. I couldn't find anything. So I kind of like had a moment of, I really want to make this. It will support babies on their crawling adventure and also like give parents a peace of mind as they're learning to crawl. And as I kind of expand my business, this is really just the first product brought to market, but there's other things in the pipeline.
So cool.
Hi, Tyler.
And
Hey,
so
Ali.
exciting.
Hey,
Amazing.
nice to
Great
see
to be
you.
with you. Sorry, I'm late. I was chatting about all the wonders of AI-supported print on demand and logo
Ooh,
design. So
I want to hear more about
it
that.
might be its own webinar, right?
Awesome.
Super, super fun.
Great to be
Wonderful.
here.
Well, Tyler, thanks for joining. And for, again, those on the call, Tyler here is our CX lead at Pietra, and also has kind of co-hosted a lot of these webinars with us. So, Ali, thanks for that background. Super cool concept. I'm always reminded of, I think, Adam Newman, the founder of WeWork. He had a company
Yeah,
before WeWork, which was making knee pads for babies who are crawling. I think the tagline was,
yes.
just because they can't speak doesn't mean that their knees don't hurt, something like that. So
That's so
very
funny.
cool to see the reincarnation of that come to life here.
Yeah, and Adam Newman had one thing wrong. Adam, if you're on here, we could talk about it later. But pads, they don't need pads. They need their own physical bodies to learn how to crawl. Pads actually get in the way of their natural crawling, and I discuss this ad nauseum with different pediatricians and pediatric doctors. The most naked they can be, and so that's why my product is really simple with the dots along the legs. It does not get in the way of their natural crawling, their hands out, their feet out. So really important to create something that worked with GripBaby's natural like abilities.
Oh, very, very cool. So now maybe Ali, just tell us a little bit about starting the brand.
Yeah.
How did you find your first set of factories, your suppliers?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then kind of talk us through where the company and the business is today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will say that I wish I found Pietra probably 6 months prior to searching for manufacturers and for prototypes, because it would have saved me a lot of headache having those vetted manufacturers. But kind of where I started was literally in my living room, coming up with the idea and having to really slow myself down to create this product. I'm really fast moving. I come from a tech background, as I said. And so, like, moving fast and breaking shit is what I'm used to. But when you're creating a physical product, especially one that babies are going to wear, you have to kind of slow down. And I also wanted to make sure that this had never been done before and that I could own the patent, which is actually what happened. So before even moving to manufacturers, I started designing my onesie and working with a patent attorney to actually kind of own the idea. And that took quite a long time. And then I quickly moved on to working with a team that could help me prototype the onesie, because it's not simply a white label. It's creating a product from the ground up. It has a lot of differentiating factors than a traditional onesie. So we had to create a prototype before going into manufacturing. And then I worked with a contract manufacturer to actually like move forward the product, which I have since switched. But yeah, so that's kind of where I started. And one thing that was really important to me was to have a very beautiful brand and a very clear brand identity and mission. And so, as we're talking about AI, I really do believe in working with people first and using AI to enhance your product and everything else that you're doing around it. So I started with working with people who I really trusted within the industry, ex-colleagues from Pinterest and Google, to help me design and build the brand identity for GripBaby, which is like such a fun part of building a brand. And then you get into the selling part. And that's where you know, truthfully, the shipping and all of the customer service and all of that, like, connecting the Shopify to the TikTok to the like, that's where I really felt like I was lacking in knowledge. And when I came across Pietra, not to sound like an advertisement for Pietra, but this is truly how I felt. I was like, holy shit, what? This is going to solve a lot of problems for me, because I was truly considering shipping out of my home, and like imagining that now, that would have been a disaster.
Indeed. And we're so happy you came to us and that we were able to help out and support where we could.
Yeah.
So why don't we now chat a little bit about AI, because
Yeah.
that is the topic of today's webinar.
Yeah.
Let's start here and maybe just address a couple of questions from the audience real quick. Yes, Rebecca, there will be a replay of this. No worries at all, and we'll send it over. Oh, Ali, I think there might be a little bit of audience sentiment about the echo as well, but okay, that's okay. There's actually nothing we can do there. No worries. Maybe you want to turn down your speaker volume just a little bit, Ali,
Yeah, here, I'll turn it
if
down.
possible. Just a couple of notches. So we should be
There we
good.
go. Hopefully that's a
Okay.
little better.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's start here. Let's go broad stroke first. Tell us, how do you use AI across GripBaby's business? Where do you use it? Talk us through, your
Yeah.
experience so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 main AI tools that I'm currently using. Prior to Pietra kind of like rolling out all of these AI tools, it was ChatGTP, Canva, and Pietra. And those are the 3 for me, and those are the 3 main ones that I still use. I don't use any AI for customer service quite yet. I don't think I'm big enough, and also I think it depends on the brand. Mine is a very community based, and they want to talk to like a real mother and a real person behind the brand. So I think it really depends on the brand whether you should use AI for customer service. But the 3 things that I'm using mainly within those tools, and let's talk about ChatGTP first, is ChatGTP has kind of become my co-writer and co-strategist. in the sense that I pay for the premium and I've uploaded my brand identity to the platform and along with all of my visual assets so that I have a folder where when I'm speaking to it about GripBaby, if we're creating copy for social media, if we are writing a bio for a specific reporter, it has all of my historical knowledge in there and it can kind of react to that historical knowledge. And I go as far as to I send quarterly updates to people who are interested in my brand, so advisors, potential investors. Sorry, my dog's barking at the mailman. And I upload all of those emails so that ChatGTP has the historical data of things like sales, when when there's an article that comes out about me. And so it can react to things when I'm creating like an email to somebody else and be like, hey, you should actually talk about the Adweek article where you highlighted how you don't show children's faces in marketing, because they would find this piece interesting. So it's truly become like as a person of one running a business, it's truly become my coworker. And I really believe in using ChatGTP more as a tool for doing all the like stuff you don't want to do than actually as your brain, right? Like, because what makes the brand special is you, the person running it, and the person who has the creative idea. When
Totally
it comes
makes
to
sense.
Canva, I believe Canva and Pietra are actually the two most um innovative companies within the e-commerce space. I mean, Canva's design, I know Canva has done for design what Apple did for technology, but Pietra has done for e-commerce what Apple did for technology. So for me, those two platforms, Canva and Pietra, are the most kind of like innovative tools that you can use within the e-commerce world. And for Pietra, it's just been really cool seeing how you guys are utilizing AI, especially within like the world of wholesale. So I don't know if like everyone on here knows, but there's a tool where you can literally reach out to any shop owner like globally. Like you can type in baby clothes, da 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 da, everything, and it will give you the data, and then you can reach out and sell your clothes wholesale. That's like a really interesting tool that Pietra has that other companies are trying to do separately, but it just like comes with your Pietra subscription, which is kind of nuts and amazing. Canva, they are slowly rolling out AI tools for design. And for me, I upload my brand identity to Canva the way that you're allowed to update it to Pietra now. And it's just kind of like a tool to use different design ideas and get inspiration. I'm usually not building a complete image that I'm going to then post to social media, but sort of like the foundation of it and the inspiration, and then I'm taking that and I'm actually going and designing my own social content and ads.
Got it. Very cool. First, it sounds like thank you, and I think everyone at the Pietra team will be happy to hear after this webinar when I go and tell them Ali called us the Apple of e-commerce. So we sincerely appreciate that to start with.
Yeah.
Second, it sounds like you have really quickly and aggressively adopted a lot of tools across your end-to-end workflows, from sales to operations to marketing, etc. Tell us a little bit, Ali, about what was that process like? What we often hear for brands is, and from customers is, look, I really want to start using AI in my company. I just don't know if it's going to be expensive, if it's actually going to save time and energy. What's the learning curve? There's a lot of
Yeah.
skepticism, I think, now at this point in time where, maybe 18 months ago, a lot of people were willing to try out AI. The models weren't quite there yet, weren't fully good enough yet. And a lot of people kind of felt scarred. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about how you think about adopting and using these tools, and to the extent that you work with other team members, contractors, how do you
Yeah.
get them to also adopt and use the tools?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a little bit of an advantage coming from Google and being there when they launched Gemini, and just AI has kind of been a part of my life for the past couple of years. But I will say that two things. One, have somebody on your team who takes every AI call. All the new AI tools that are coming out, They're super interesting. Not all of them are great. I think it's important for somebody to take those calls, speak to the founders, and learn about the tools. I take every single call, even if it's 15 minutes, just because I want to learn about what's out there. And there you can kind of like figure out what is needed for your team. Number two is start small. You do not need to pay for 10 subscriptions to 10 tools. I would literally have everyone on your team have a subscription to ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, whatever your favorite AI tool is of choice, and have a folder that has all of the brand identity, the kind of the company mantras, the rules, the ethos, everything that's within that brand, and then you can work within that folder, and it can be kind of like a little bit of a coworker for that person, especially with like the mobile workforce and us not being able to talk to humans as much. You can kind of strategize and work with ChatGPT. Um, really just start small. I would figure out a problem within your team. Is it that you're writing social copy for 6 hours a day? Is it that your sales team is writing 20 different emails and reaching out to people and that's taking a long time? The place where you can save the most time, I would say, is in those admin kind of areas where you're writing copy or you're writing emails and it needs to be like different versions for different audiences. And so I would just start really, really small by identifying a problem within your team and then getting everyone on board to use it. I do not think that it's something that like only a small group of people should know. If you're not learning AI, you're going to fall back really, really fast. And I think AI, it really like the AI word kind of scares people because it just feels so tech heavy. And it isn't necessarily like if you log into Chat GTP, if you log into Pietra, if you're using these tools, it's these companies have made the interfaces really simple to use. They're clean. It says right here, like literally write your question here and the output will be there. If you're on Pietra and you're searching for manufacturers now, you don't simply have to search yourself. There's an AI tool within Pietra that will actually read everything you write, synthesize it down, and then shoot back manufacturers at you that make sense for your brand, and then use your brain as a human to go through those and make sure that they're right for your brain. So there is a human element. And I'm trailing off a little bit about these tools, but I think the biggest thing is kind of like looking at a couple problems within your company and what can AI do to solve that. And don't go pay for 20 subscriptions. One or two is enough to start, and then as you learn, you'll grow with AI.
Ellie, I love
Got it.
that pro tip to take every call, and I think I
Yeah.
could heed that advice myself. I get quite a bit of outreach, so I'm going to take
Yeah.
that one back. I'm curious, are there any um, buckets of work or outcomes
Yeah.
that you and your team are able to focus on more now that you're assigning some work or delegating some work to these AI tools? And I think part of that question is, what work is really human centric that you do that you haven't been able to replace yet? And yeah.
Yeah, well, first off, I don't want to replace everything with AI. I think, especially when you're building a brand, if you're a founder, like I said, you are the most important piece of the business in the sense that a lot of people, someone's going to go make another baby onesie, right? With grip somewhere. Like this is going to be repeated, it's going to happen, but building that community is so important. So I think there's a couple things. One, I can take all the calls now because I have AI, looking at my brand book, writing 25 ad copies for Instagram, for TikTok, for Meta, and they're writing it within the funnel, right? Like I'm feeding the marketing funnel to them and they're writing all that copy for me. So it's that admin type of work and that copywriting that is, so tedious, and you want it to be so perfect and beautiful and pair well with your brand and your images and brand identity, but that's stuff that AI can do. Um, I think the other, most important thing that it's given me is the opportunity to engage with my audience, which is actually me behind my social media talking with customers. Now, that can be replaced with AI, and it will have to be replaced with AI as I scale because any person cannot handle hundreds of DMs incoming. And there are tools, and I haven't used them yet, but there are tools that can speak to your audience. The only one I have used is ManyChat, which I use for if you're doing a giveaway, you can have ManyChat kind of like respond with discount codes or specific like phrases that you wanted to say, which is really great. But I'm able to engage with my audience and get to know my audience at this early stage of GripBaby. And it's so important for my brand because building trust within caretakers, mothers, and fathers is the biggest thing you have to do as a baby brand owner. And that might not apply to other, if you're, you know, selling something else that maybe doesn't need necessarily like such a community aspect to it. I would replace I would replace as much as you can with AI so that you're not doing the nitty gritty. I will say something about customer service quickly, if I can. This is one I really struggle with. Currently, I'm doing the customer service because I really want to get to know the problems within my business. And then I will have Pietra kind of like take it from there once I'm understanding those problems and I'm fixing them. But with AI, there has got to be an element where it then goes to a person, I believe. So AI can handle a lot of problems. It can answer most questions. It can literally pull from your FAQ from your website. But sometimes people need to speak to a person. Maybe they have a specific problem that AI can't figure out. And I do think it is important to have kind of like guardrails for when it actually pushes you to a person, whether it's through Zendesk or go straight to an email. I think it is important not to piss your customer off and just be kind of like shoving the same like response over and over. And I'm sure as AI gets more intelligent, it actually will just sound like a person to be able to solve those more complicated problems. But sometimes AI trips up, and so it's important to have that human element at a certain point in the communication.
Super helpful. Maybe what we can do is look at first any questions in the audience that we want to
Yeah.
answer here. Tyler or Hassan, is there anything that's too critical? Okay. If not, no worries. Actually, we have one question from Blake. Approximately how large is GripBaby currently, Ali? And was there a point in your development when you realized a 3PL was the only way to go? So slightly adjacent from AI, but a worthwhile question to answer.
GripBaby is me. GripBaby is incredibly tiny. I actually consider Pietra my lawyer and my accountant as the extension. That's my team, right? And my ads person. I don't do the back end media for my ads. Pietra has actually allowed me to not have to hire a bunch of people. And I want to hire eventually. I want to hire thoughtfully, but I have self-funded GripBaby. And so it would be very hard for me to be paying a full-time employee. And when I hire a full-time employee, I want to be able to give them health insurance as well. That's like really, really important to me. I think that you're not a business yet if you can't give your employees health insurance. So it's simply me, Pietra, and I use Pietra for shipping. I'm going to be using them for customer service eventually. I use them for a lot of my sourcing for packaging, stickers, tags, all the special influencer boxes that I have. Like I have these beautiful GripBaby custom boxes, and that's all through Pietra, through Yoko. I have a baby shower box, other boxes, like all of my everything else is through Pietra. So it's really allowed me to not have to hire out. Yeah, it's really just a team of one. And then you do have to hire out for those things that you like. Don't do your own accounting. Just don't do it.
Totally.
Or
Totally
legal
makes sense.
work. Don't use AI like for legal. Like I'm sorry, don't do it. That's one thing. Like you can ask it questions and be like, what would like act as a lawyer? What would you do? But when it comes down to like building a contract and if you're hiring influencers, like have a real lawyer, even if they don't build the contract, have a real lawyer look over that contract and make sure that you're protected because again, AI is not perfect yet.
I agree. I 100% agree. AI should not be giving financial or legal advice that is followed to a T, it obviously can be used as a thought partner through it. So well said
Yeah.
there, Allie. Maybe a couple of other questions. So a question from Al. Al asked the question, how do you direct AI to your folder? So I think what is actually being asked is, how do you ensure that the answers that either Pietra or ChatGPT give you
Yeah.
are not generic, but are actually contextualized to you guys, your brand, your
Yeah.
vision, identity, mood board, etc.
That's a great question. And I think this is where the human element comes in. It will react to how much you've basically taught it and how much knowledge that you've given it. So for example, ChatGPT and Pietra have the nitty-gritty, and Canva have the nitty-gritty knowledge down to like the hex code of the colors that I use on my website and the colors that I use for my baby onesies, like literally the fabric color. So it's incredibly detailed because of what I have fed it. It can read the internet, obviously, of what's available, but as a small brand who's hopefully scaling quickly, there's not like too much about my brand on the online except for what's on the website. And you can definitely link to your website and say like crawl this for, and update yourself on everything regarding blank business. But feeding it your brand identity, your brand guide is probably the smartest. And let's say you don't have some beautiful designed deck with your brand identity and your mission. Write it all out in a Google Doc and copy and paste it and just feed it. Like AI doesn't care about the format. It just needs the information, right? So like don't get down on yourself if like you don't have a beautiful deck that's outlining it. Like just feed it information and refeed it information as you're updating. Let's say you have a mission and you have a tagline and you're like, we changed that. Feed it that knowledge. Just kind of treat it as an employee that needs updating as your brand or business is updating kind of like anything external or internal.
Totally makes sense.
And Allie, are you finding you're using AI most of the time for real-time responses? Like when I use ChatGPT, I'm getting an automated response from it. Are you setting up any like overnight workflows at this point or deploying agents right now?
No, I haven't deployed agents right now. I'm thinking of little background. I'm thinking of deploying a male agent because we're still living in a world where people respond to men quicker than women in email. I know that's horrible, but it's the truth. And so I'm thinking about deploying a male assistant for me to respond to kind of inquiries and such. But I'm really protective about my brand at this stage because it is so new. And I want to make sure, with the world of like what's going on in politics and like everything with like paid leave and I want to make sure that nothing is said that is like either controversial or not aligned with my brand values. So I'm being pretty protective about that at the moment, but when I do deploy one, it will be a male assistant to me.
Good note.
Cool.
And Prince, I feel like you have a little bit of expertise in this area. Do you want to
Sure.
share for the audience maybe the differences between getting like a real-time response from like a ChatGPT type of application and deploying an agent, and maybe some great use cases for either one?
Yeah, 100%. Great question. So I think the way that I would kind of chat about this with the audience here, folks, is let's think about this in a framework of 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is Chat GPT, just a input-output engine. Step 2 is, or pillar 2 is the concept of automation, where you have a job that's done every day repeatedly. Step 3 is the concept of an agent. And the difference between an agent and an automation is automations are typically deterministic. For example, go analyze the number of comments that I got on Instagram yesterday. That's a very deterministic job. It's a pure count that can be pulled from Instagram's API and that can be, seen as a number. Compare that with the prompt of go and read all of my Instagram comments and give me a synthesis of what you believe people are feeling about my product or my most recent set of Instagram posts from this past week. That is a good example of an agent where there's a non-deterministic workflow that needs to happen, where there's thought, there's reasoning that needs to be in place. And so the again, three pillars are ChatGPT, input, output, automation, where you do the same thing over and over again, and an agent. The really cool part about kind of the AI world we live in today, guys, is, we started 2 years ago with ChatGPT saying, you got a question, I can give you an answer based on my understanding and synthesis of the world's corpus of information. That's kind of how we started in this new wave of AI. But even before that, for years prior, the concept of automations were a frequent thing. Many of you on here listening might use tools like Zapier or N8N or Make.com that basically help you automate flows. Do this, then that. Do this, then that. The really amazing part of kind of where we are in the technology journey is agents are now possible to be deployed and implemented at scale, where you can have an AI system that goes out, that thinks, that reasons, that synthesizes, that acts on behalf of you. And this opens up so much more of a world of opportunity for things to automate. So to Ali's point, for example, in an old world, automation would maybe be able to analyze the frequency, the number of things, the count, things that you do day to day. You can kind of put on autopilot. Automation is really powerful for that. The thing that's really powerful about agents is they eat into, or can eat into now, not only things that are just recurring or repetitive, but large parts of work that humans do. Customer service, reviewing responses, writing responses, posting on your behalf. There's now phone and voice agents that can call people, answer incoming phone calls on your behalf. And that's kind of what makes, again, this version of the world we live in so powerful. And so what we here at Pietra try to do is build infrastructure that makes it easy for anyone to deploy an agent specifically for e-commerce use cases that we've thought about, and that will come right out of the box. So that's kind of the background on where we are and also what Pietra is doing.
And automation is really like the quantitative piece of it. And like having an agent is the qualitative, like really digging into like the emotional intelligence and like responding as a human versus just providing data.
That's exactly right. And spot on. Wonderful. Tyler, any other questions that we want to cover with Ali here?
Well, a great question from Blake in the audience. And Ali, you mentioned Canva doing for design what Apple did for tech.
Yeah.
Blake's wondering, were you familiar with Canva and the AI they're rolling out before starting GripBaby? And this follow-up question I think is really interesting too. So a lot of newcomers here, right? For a newcomer to Canva or AI tools in general, what resources would you recommend to become a super user?
Blake, I don't know who you are, but I feel like we're aligned because in my brain was going design. Like we haven't touched on design for AI. And so when it comes to Canva, you can kind of think of like Canva has made it easier for the average person, me, to be a designer. Now, I'm not going to call myself a designer. I'm not going to put down people who actually know how to work within Photoshop and in design. That is a special thing that cannot be replaced by AI. Truly, I believe like if you're going to design a brand, go with a designer to design first. But if you're playing around within Canva and you're thinking of something, like I do a lot of thinking within Canva of I want to create X and I want it to look like, I want it to be inspired by, Pilates moms of Santa Barbara and the mindset that they're in. You can use Canva now because it's not just simply, me going in and layering. You can use Canva to actually just create an image the way that you can within Pietra and the way that you can within ChatGPT. But the difference working within Canva is then you can actually go design it based off your inspiration image. And starting in Canva can be like, it can feel overwhelming because not all of us are like designers or have a design mindset. But like I said, they have really democratized it in the sense of like, you can create a workspace with somebody and go share ideas within it. And to the left on Canva, they have this search bar where you can say something like, give me illustrations of peaches. And it will give you all of the illustrations of peaches that have been imported into Canva from either like people, because people can like submit their designs, or that Canva has like, given to its users. So there's really simple search bars that can kind of help guide you as you're learning to design. Um, it is intuitive the way that like when you got your first iPhone and you were used to maybe using like maybe like an Android, it is very intuitive in the sense of like you get in there and you start playing and you start learning. It's actually really, really fun. And then all of the AI prompts and tools that can help guide you from a user experience and then also from a design experience make it really helpful to just learn. So my advice is just get in there. Don't be intimidated. Like you're not going to be great at it at first, but you're going to learn so much so fast. And the same way with Pietra and all the AI tools that they have, like just get in. And I mean, Prince has told me like, just start using it, just start using it. And like, he's right. You just have to like get in there and start using it. And then you're like, whoa, this is so cool. I was so intimidated, but I'm glad I'm in here because now I understand how to use it. It's just kind of like taking that guard down and being like, okay, I'm just going to learn today.
So well
So
said.
resonant.
Sometimes you just have to kind of, dive into things head first, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like any other piece of technology where it might feel a little bit scary to
Yeah.
approach at first, but after a certain period of time, at least for me personally,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Tyler and you as well, Ali, you kind of think back now and you sort of think like, wow, I can't believe I used to live life without these tools. Like, how did I do these things
100%.
in a previous life,
And like, guys, I was a D student in high school and like a C student in college. And probably I was very intimidated at the time working at Google around all of these incredibly smart people who were talking about AI. And I was like, yeah, totally, I get it. Like, I didn't understand it until I started using the tools myself. Somebody talking about AI, it's cool. It's like great to hear me talk about it, how I use it. But going in there and like playing with Pietra, playing with all the new features, going in with ChatGPT, just talking to it, uploading your brand guide, going into Canva and using it, there's nothing that can replace you like making the effort and trying these tools out yourself.
Totally.
Completely. And
1,000%.
I'll maybe share a personal anecdote. I
Yeah.
myself had some resistance to trying out these tools, and I think for me it came from a place of fear of these tools replacing me.
Oh
And I
yeah.
would offer some advice to the audience to maybe flip that and say the best users of these tools are going to be the ones who are best prepared and most successful with them. So if you share any of that fear that I used to have, I would encourage you to just take those first few steps and not be afraid.
Yeah, and I don't want AI like I have like we could go into this forever,
Right?
but
We
I'm
have
like
another podcast for this. Yeah.
if you're firing 20 employees, then you need to give that salary to the other employees who are staying there. Like I have a whole thought process on that, but I will say that like that was Google's outtake too when I was there. It was like these tools are created so that humans can be better at doing what humans do best, and that's being creative, that's coming up with ideas, that's connecting with your audience, and really the creative tools and the automation tools and AI should be doing the things that humans shouldn't be doing, like sitting there creating 100 pieces of copy. Like go out and meet your customer, like go spend time with your customer in the real world, have AI do the things that are kind of boring and like admin tasks that can be done in the background.
Totally. Well, this was wonderful, Ali.
Yeah.
And maybe in the last couple of minutes, let's just see, Tyler, if there's any other questions that we want to ask. Ali, maybe a slightly ancillary question. So, question from GLO. Questions to Ali. One, have you ever done giveaways? If so, how effective are they? And two, what's your biggest
Yeah.
mistake on this journey of building the brand other than not using
Ooh,
Pietra sooner?
great questions. Okay, giveaways. Yes, there are two types of giveaways you can do. One is a giveaway where you're simply partnering with another brand and you're giving away your stuff, right? Like, so there's a lot of amazing bigger brands that have reached out to me to do giveaways. It's an amazing way for you to get their audience to start following you and also to be aligned with like minded brands. I will do giveaways all freaking day, like every single day. Amazon's here, so my dog's gonna probably bark again, so apologize for that.
No
Um,
worries.
and there she goes. The second giveaway, this one's kind of like an industry. I don't know if you want to call it like it's kind of bad, but we'll just be honest about it. So there are giveaways where you aren't actually giving anything away, and your brand is listed as a follow this brand in order to win. So if you and that allows you to get lots of followers. Now that can be really like not good, and you can have a lot of like followers that don't necessarily align with your brand. But I have done them when the giveaways are with people like mothers are doing a giveaway of like all of these products, and I'm listed as not a brand to who's actually giving anything away, but as a brand that you have to follow in order to win that giveaway. So there are two types of giveaways. And then I would probably say the biggest mistake that I have made is assuming that my manufacturer was doing their job in regards to quality control. Every time you do another run, another size, another color, make them send you a sample and approve it. Like, even if you've done a run and you think like, well, it's just the same thing. I had some issues with sizing with the smallest size of my 0 to 3 onesies. They were coming in like incredibly too small. And I just figured it was the same run, the same manufacturer. Always do a quality control yourself, and don't assume that it's being done for you, even though it's supposed to be.
And maybe as a quick plug there, you can
Yeah.
actually book third-party quality control inspections via Pietra,
That's awesome.
where you will be able to send a third-party inspector to a factory across the world so that you don't end up in the situation that Ali just described. But
that's
Ali,
really, really great, because
yes,
a third party is important, because it's not their, you're having somebody else look at it, and that's really important.
that is
Yeah.
exactly right. Wonderful. Well, folks, thank you so much for everyone who joined in here, for tuning in. Ali, where can people find you, and where can people find GripBaby if they want to purchase?
Yeah, so I just want to tell everyone on here, I'm always down to have founder conversations and like coffee chats, talk AI, or just talk about other things. You can find me at Ali Weiss Official on Instagram, and then GripBaby is GripBaby Official on Instagram, or gripbaby.com. So yeah, follow me, reach out, send me a DM. I'd love to meet you guys on chat, Zoom, or in person.
Amazing. Wonderful. Well, Ali, thank you so much for the time as always. Thank you for the support. And thank you so much to the audience for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thanks all. Bye.
And Ali, just stay on for a quick second.